Welcome everybody to a look at a new Arrow video release, and that is the Street Fighter Trilogy, starring Shinichi Chiba, although they've gone for the Western name that he had, which is Sonny Chiba. So yeah, all three of these films star Shinichi Chiba. They're all directed by Shigeru Ozawa as well, and they're all from 1974. Somehow they banged out all three films in the space of only a year, which is mightily impressive. So the first one is called The Street Fighter, clocks in at 91 minutes long, and it's about Takuma, who is a tough mercenary and a master of martial arts. When an important business magnate dies, leaving billions to his daughter, the mafia and Yakuza try to hire Takuma to kidnap the daughter. When they refuse to meet his exorbitant price, they then try to kill him to conceal their secret plans, which then prompts him to offer his services to protect the daughter. So, yeah, despite this Shinichi Chiba playing a rather deeply unlikable character, who is only marginally redeemed by the time the credits roll, this was an overall engrossing film thanks somewhat to its plot and its solid pacing. The rest of the cast is also good, it is well shot, the score is well done, and the production is effective. It is, however, the action scenes where this film truly shines, as they are extremely well choreographed, fun, and brutally violent. As people get punched in the chest, stamped on, eyes gouged out, all sorts of different stuff, and it's all really rather effectively done, and quite realistic in some regards in terms of being punched in the face or punched down onto the head, and blood profusely comes out of people's mouths, and it's all really, really well done in that regard. And then we have the sequel, Return of the Street Fighter, which clocks in at 83 minutes long. And Takuma once again is taking on a Yakuza family that may be embezzling money from charities to finance their own operations. Both the police and the Yakuza find themselves battling Takuma, but Takuma's fight is ultimately with the mob, and he concentrates on them. Now, this isn't quite as good as the first film, given it's mostly sanded down the edges of that first film, which granted does mean that our lead character is more likable, but it also has a negative effect on most of the violence being confined to the final 30 minutes. That said, Chiba is once again great. The action scenes are still amazing, despite initially not being as violent as before. Speaking of the violence, there's a really rather Looney Tunes moment where he basically does a knuckle punch like that in the back of someone's head or neck, whichever one, and the eyes basically bulge out, and it's really rather funny in a kind of gruesome kind of way. It is well paced, the plot is reasonably engrossing, the cinematography is on point, and the supporting cast is good. And then finally, also clocking in at 83 minutes long, we have The Street Fighter's Last Revenge. Now, mercenary karate master Takuma is hired to retrieve a cassette tape which holds a very sensitive recording of governmental corruption. And in that you have bribery, a billion yen on the line, and all sorts of other stuff. So, this third and final film in the series is once again a drop in quality over the prior effort, but thankfully not by a major margin, while it still holds plenty of the positives that were featured in the prior two entries. Where this is a letdown, however, is when it comes to the plot, which ultimately feels like a rehash of the prior two films. As it's once again Chiba's character is up against the Yakuza, he's up against more powerful people. They're trying to kill him to conceal their own misgivings, and just feels again like a major rehash. They could have easily, changed it up a little bit for this third and final film, but thanks to Chiba himself, plenty of great action, solid pacing, and not outstaying its welcome. The predictability of the plot is somewhat nullified. I do just wish it tried to do something different while keeping what worked, as when this is firing on all cylinders, it is at least entertaining in terms of its action and general, plot, but rarely has much else to offer, unlike the previous two films. So, this is overall a really, really good release. I'd give the first film 4 stars, the second film 3.5 stars, and the third film 3 stars, but they're all still really rather entertaining action films, and like I said, they're not very long. The first one's only 91 minutes, and the second and third ones are 83 minutes each, which isn't long at all, and especially given the pacing is really well done. And you get all 3 films on an individual disc, which are all represented by their own artwork, which is nice to see. And you do get the new artwork for one side of the slipcover, but one side of the cover itself. But I've gone for the first film's artwork to swap around on. which is nice that they offer that. And then you get a booklet as well, which again has artwork on there and a picture from one of the films. And yeah, in this booklet you've got the Street Fighter cast and crew for all 3 films. You've got From Superheroes to Street Fighter by Chris Pagali. Then you got the Street Fighter Trilogy. Sonny Chiba gives the world a kick-ass dirty hero it had never seen before and never forget by Mark Schilling. Then you got Sonny Chiba filmography, as unfortunately he did die in 2021, which is a great shame. And it wasn't even from anything of his own fault, it was COVID, unfortunately. So yeah, and you got about the restorations and production credits. So yeah, I've not seen a huge amount of films with Chiba before. The only major ones I've seen are like the Kill Bill Volume 1, The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. Both of those films he's more supporting character, he's not really a lead. But then he was also really rather great in The Bullet Train, which we'll be talking about in the future, as that is getting released by Eureka, and Doberman Cop, which is another film from Arrow Video. So yeah, overall, really, really good trilogy. Solid action films, even despite my misgivings over them. And yeah, it's definitely going to get me interested in the rest of Sonny Chiba's filmography, as yeah, like I said, all of it is on show in this booklet. So you've got, yeah, plenty of films to check out, and yeah, to give the dates that they were released and the like. So yeah, really, really solid release and a nice tribute to Sonny Chiba as a actor and a person. So yeah, highly recommend this release, especially if you're into these kind of 70s martial arts, Hong Kong martial arts kind of action films or anything like that. As yeah, it certainly is a mixes things up a little bit in terms of the Hong Kong action films, because obviously this is Japanese and these are set in Japan, although there are some bits set in Hong Kong. And yeah, they're a nice accompaniment to the Hong Kong stuff that was out at the time, like what we talked about recently. Can't remember now. Yeah, you know what I mean, basically, like the ones with like Sammo Hung and Jackie Chan and stuff like that. So yeah, really, really, really solid effort this is. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what else Arrow Video release, because this is only, I think, my second release I've bought from them so far this year. But I got this purely because I've been to these kind of films at the moment, and Asian cinema has been skyrocketing in terms of the amount that I've watched, but also consequently in terms of the amount that I've enjoyed. And yeah, these 3 are definitely up there, especially when it comes to the first one. So yeah, if you've seen either of these, I'd like to hear your thoughts on them. But if you haven't and you're into like these kind of films, like I said, then I do highly recommend them. So yeah, and I don't think it was all that expensive either, especially given the 3 films. And you've got a booklet, and then you've got the switchable cover artwork. They're all on an individual disc themselves, and there's a whole lot of extras as well on this as well. You've got interviews with Sonny Chiba, you've got audio commentary that is brand new for this release. All 3 have had brand new 2K restorations as well. So yeah, and you get a nice slipcover to go with it. So yeah, really nice release. And yeah, it does give me hope that maybe our video will release more of these films, because I'll be honest, I hadn't heard of these before this release. So yeah, and it certainly opened my eyes up to similar efforts like the Lady Street Fighter series, which is a kind of spin-off to these films. So yeah, but nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.